that means we need to get on the phone and listen a great deal. We need to understand what customers see in us versus what we see in ourselves, and then utilize that to, I don't want to say standardize, but very quickly put together a value proposition with a complementary tone that customers were reacting to. And so I gave myself 60 days to do that. I think we had to do it in roughly 4, right? Like we had a week to get that right in order to make sure we didn't miss the opportunity. And then very quickly, I had to transition into finding some trusted resources to go meet that demand in the marketplace. We had to start hiring, and we had to start building almost instantaneously.
So much insight in that answer. You were in this privileged position where your problem, and it was a bit of a problem, was that you were swimming in demand. You had so much demand that there were calendars that were full of demos, and it was difficult for you to find time outside of these customer interactions to meet as a team. And the takeaway for me in that answer is, regardless of whether you're swimming in demand or not, the way that I've typically approached, whether it's day 1, day 60, or day 1000, there's going to be some bottleneck in the customer acquisition or revenue growth spectrum. And you need to find that bottleneck and start applying as much pressure and attention until you alleviate that bottleneck and it moves somewhere else. And so for you guys, your specific bottleneck was, we have a lot of demand and we actually don't have the resources in the form of salespeople to adequately serve this demand. So we need to go out and hire. And tell us a little bit about that process. So you join, you identify this opportunity. Who did you hire? How did you recruit? Sourcing candidates? Just tell us about some of the details there.
Yeah, and just to kind of comment on it, like people think about product market, you found product market fit. Like I call that unrecognized demand. Like you should always be seeking demand, because if you have demand, you have product market fit. And for us, it wasn't just what was in front of us. It was the fact that there was so much more demand to be created in a very short period of time that was compelling, right? So like I can run through 100 customers all by myself. That's not the point. The point is, what do you learn from the first 10 to go to 1,000 even faster? And so like, I always think about this pivotal juncture where, of course, there's demand, but how do you create more of it? And how do you recognize it? And that's not a sales-led effort, like just for everybody who's listening. That's an organizational effort. That means adjusting roadmaps and feature function and product direction and marketing approach. Like that for me it should be a company objective number 1 at all times. When it comes to hiring, it's a very traditional story in the sense that over your career, you have opportunities to work with, interface with, admire and observe some professionals that you connect with as people. And therefore, you build these bonds and this level of trust where I had to look some people in the face and say, like, this is a huge risk. Like, I understand you trust me, but it is a seed company, and this is where we're at. And so you have families to provide for and mortgages to pay. But I really went straight into my network, and I identified a few people, both on the direct sales side, as well as the ops side, and said, I think we have something, but it's a calculated risk and I need you to be aware. And so I went and I got a couple of sales folks, a sales leader and some ops people and some support staff to make sure that we could overinvest in the ops part of our business while we were driving that demand on the sales side.
It's awesome. It continues to reinforce this theme that is consistently represented on this podcast, just around leveraging the network in so many different ways, whether it's recruiting, demand gen, and more. In this specific example,